Good morning, guys. As you can see, we've gotten about, I don't know, probably 4 inches of snow so far. And this is just the beginning of what is going to be a whole lot of snow. This is just a little clipper system moving through. We get a little bit of a break, I think, tomorrow. And then the snow starts back up the next day. And I think they're calling for maybe anywhere from 8 to 12 inches, depending on which source you look at. But snow totals, who knows? They always get it wrong. We could get more, we could get less, but we're definitely going to get pretty buried over the next few days. Good morning, chickies. Yeah, it's kind of a boring day for chickens, huh? They will not cross the snow to come out. There's nowhere for them to go. At best, they would go underneath the deck, but there's no sense in them even really going under there today, so they'll just sit in the coop, unfortunately. All right, I need to get my snow shovel, and we need to start making some paths. Well, all we have to do is repeat all that again in a couple days. Man, it is beautiful out here, and it's just, the temperature is really mild. It's not bad. All right, well, it looks like I have a new project to do today, and that is I just found out that one of our deep freezers quit working. What a shame. It's supposed to have, like, you know, a temperature alarm to let you know if it gets too warm in there, but for whatever reason, that didn't work. And it should have worked quite a long time ago because it is room temp in here. Everything is thawed entirely and is already starting to stink, so yeah. And, you know, unfortunately, all of this is meat, pretty much. Everything in here is just meat. But the only good thing is that it isn't as full as it usually is, so the loss isn't quite as bad as it could have been. So there's that, but it's still a lot of stuff. Stinky. Yeah. Quite a bit of maple syrup left over from last year's run, and it's almost time to start tapping trees again, so I need to do something with this, and I'm going to turn it into maple sugar. That way I can bake bread and do stuff like that with it. And I am going to be tapping trees again this year, but I'm going to be scaling it back for 2 reasons. One, after I had my major abdominal surgery, carrying super heavy buckets a long way through the woods is not really something I should be doing right now. And 2, we honestly just don't consume that much sugar anymore. I mean, very, very little. So it doesn't make sense to just do a whole lot of tapping. But even what the majority of what I collect this year, I'm probably going to turn into sugar so I can bake with it. Making maple sugar is so much simpler than making maple syrup, and the intensity of the flavor of your sugar is going to be highly dependent on what grade of syrup you use. If you use a darker maple syrup, it's going to be much stronger flavored. Before I add my syrup to this, I'm going to just run a thin ring of oil around, or butter around the top of this, and that's going to keep it from boiling over. Ideally, just use a tall enough or big enough pot that you don't have to worry about it boiling over, but just in case, because it does get pretty foamy as it's starting to get up to temp. All right, I'm going to start adding my maple syrup and get this cooking, and I'm going to get it up to 260 degrees, somewhere about in there. And then I'm gonna take it and put it straight into my mixing bowl and start mixing it. The thing is that when you put your syrup in here, do not stir it. Do not be tempted to stir it, because if you do, you're going to end up with something more akin to like a hard candy, which is not what we want. So put it in there, let it come up to about 260, and then put it straight into your mixer if you're going to use a mixer, or into a bowl where you're going to stir it. But I highly recommend using a mixer. It's a lot easier. Once you get it up to temp, you're either going to throw it immediately into your mixer and turn your mixer on low. You want to keep it as low as possible so it doesn't splash. You know, this stuff is really hot. Or put it in a bowl where you're going to stir it with a spoon and just keep going until it turns into maple sugar. As it cools off, it will start to turn into sugar, and it can take a little while. The only thing left to do is to sift it and store it in like a mason jar or whatever. And you don't have to sift it, but if you don't, you're gonna end up with like chunks of maple candy. And if you want to, you can take all those chunks, throw them in your blender, and then grind them down some more and add them to your maple sugar. This is definitely more snow than I thought we were going to get today. Glenn is plowing the driveway, so at least we can keep the depth down. I have to leave. Silly. The temperature is dropping fast now, and I say we're in the low 20s. Coupled with that wind, it is chilly, and I guess we're supposed to stay pretty darn cold at least through the next week. But we got an updated forecast. We now have a winter storm warning, which we knew they were going to do, but we were just waiting for it. And now they're saying 9 inches of snow, which, fine, whatever. But they're saying we are supposed to get some of that ice, unfortunately, which really sucks because Glenn has to drive in that for work. So hopefully that won't be too impactful. But as far as power outages are concerned, not worried about that. We have our natural gas generator that we can always hook up. So, you know, one nice thing about being a homestead is that you're usually pretty stocked up. And things like this don't really bother you too much. And even though we lost that freezer of meat, we still have plenty other meat and stuff in other freezers. So yeah, now we just wait and see what we actually get. I'm kind of excited for the snow. I love big snow events. But I hope everybody stays safe and warm. And for those of you that are in the south that might be getting some of these storms, I hope you guys all fare well. And tonight I'm just going to rest. I'm working on a really large painting, the biggest painting that I've ever attempted. It's a 2-foot by 3-foot painting. And I figure that's going to take me a couple months. So I'm gonna go inside and get some work done on that this evening.